What is going on, everybody? This is BroncoJuggalo, and this is a review I have been waiting for. It is time for the 2018 film Leprechaun Returns.
Not cool. Stop. Hammer time.
The final film in the Leprechaun franchise, for now anyways. Here's praying we get another sequel because I love this movie. Directed by Steven Kostinsky and starring Linden Porcco as Leprechaun, Mark Holton as Ozzy, and newcomer Taylor Sprither, I believe is how it's said, as Lila. Lila is the daughter of Tori Redding. Yes, Tori Redding from the first film. She is returning to her mother's old house, which is now being used as a sorority house. The leprechaun gets resurrected from the well 25 years later, and once again he goes after his gold, and he will kill anybody that gets in the way. And yes, folks, this is the same leprechaun from the first movie. This is the first time I've been able to say that. Now, I've been told that they used the name Linden for this leprechaun as well, which was the name given to him in Leprechaun Back to the Hood, but it is the same leprechaun. It is not the leprechaun from Back to the Hood. Just think about the timelines, people. None of these timelines make sense if it's all the same leprechaun. I don't know how much this one cost. I don't know how much it made. It did not go to the theaters. It is a sci-fi movie. It was released on digital media last year for streaming. I watched it right away. I couldn't wait. Usually I wait for the Blu-ray release. I couldn't wait this time. I had to watch it. I love this franchise. I had to watch it. I loved the movie right off the bat. And every time I've watched it since, and I've watched this movie, well, I watched it that time on streaming. I watched it again the next day because I still had it. So that's twice. And then when I bought it, I watched it. And then I watched it again. This is my sixth time watching this movie. And it's only been out on Blu-ray DVD since June. This movie is so much fun. This movie is one of my favorite horror movies of probably the last 20 years. And yes, I know people make fun of me for saying that, but it's true. I love this film. I love these kind of horror films. I'm not saying campy, stupid horror. I'm saying I love fun horror. I love slasher movies. I will take Leprechaun Returns over Hereditary, Us, Midsommar, Get Out, over any of those films. I'll take this one any day of the week. And no, it's not because I don't get them. I get them, believe me. They're just fucking boring. Now, I can't say Us is boring. I haven't seen it yet. And Get Out's pretty good. And I liked Hereditary, but they're still kind of boring. The first thing I like about this movie is the cast. All of these actors are pretty decent. They are decent actors. I'm kind of surprised. But that's not the only reason I like the cast in this movie, if you know what I mean. I also love that Mark Holton is back. I love that Ozzy makes his return in this movie. I wouldn't have minded seeing the other two painters, but having Ozzy was good enough. I thought it was great having him. I love the role he plays in this movie. I love what happens to him in this movie. I really enjoy Ozzy being back in this film. And Mark Holton does an awesome job.
Everything okay?
Yeah, everything. He made sure of it.
I love that it's the same house. Now, it's not the same house that they used in the original, like, for real, but I love that they put the setting back at the house. They did such a good job making it look the same. They even hold up an old picture of the house and then show the house in the background. And that's cool, and I like that. I love all the throwbacks to the first movie. I love all of the throwbacks to the characters. There's a part where Tori Redding's voice comes through the leprechaun. I did find out that it was not Jennifer Aniston. It was Heather McDonald, who is a spot-on Jennifer Aniston impersonator and a stand-up comedian. And she does a really good job. I think it would have been cool if they could have got Jennifer Aniston. Myself personally, I know some people get a little too big for their britches, so to speak. But myself personally, if I did movies and I did that and then I got Tom Cruise huge or whatever, and they said, hey, we're making the first film, yeah, I'm still there. for free, I'm there. People need to check their egos and give it up to where they came from. I love the Leprechaun's resurrection. I love how he comes to be in this film. I don't want to give everything away because this is still a pretty new film, but it is really cool. It is a very cool resurrection. It involves Ozzy directly, and I like it. I love that there's a nod to Warwick in the movie, and in the movie, some people may say, oh, that doesn't sound too nice. Maybe they're speaking bad about him. I don't think so. I think it's a nod to him, and it's a nod to letting you know why this character looks a little different. Why the leprechaun looks different and sounds different. When he comes back to life, he sees his reflection. He's like, when did I get better looking? And I love that. I think it's great. Because it acknowledged the original film of him dying and melting and all that. And now he's back, but he's different. So they're kind of giving a nod to Warwick, giving a nod to the original, but also saying, you know what? We're new now. We're different. But we're not so different like that last piece of shit movie. We're going to respect what came before, and we're going to do that. We're going to build on that. Even the director said that growing up, his favorite Leprechaun in the franchise was Leprechaun 3. And then he really also got into Leprechaun in the Hood, which I thought was great that those were his two favorites. I like that they made this movie relevant to the times. We have smartphones. They talk about internet, and they talk about being off the grid. They talk about going green, which is a big thing with people nowadays. Even though, honestly, I personally don't think it really does all that fucking much. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that, but whatever. But they did make it relevant to the times, and I love the jokes that the Leprechaun has about, like, Walkmans and shit like that. And they're like, what's a Walkman or a Discman or whatever he said. And it's just so funny, and they have the iPod and he puts all the Irish music on her iPod, and it's just cool. I like all that. I love the look of the Leprechaun. I think he looks really cool. I love his costume. I like the smaller jaunty hat. I like the trench coat. I think it looks really cool. Makes him look a lot more sinister, if you ask me. I love Linden Porcco, the man that plays the Leprechaun. This guy is a great fill-in for Warwick Davis. Now, they say, you talk about big shoes to fill. Warwick Davis had big shoes to fill, in my opinion. I love Warwick Davis, and nobody will ever replace him in my heart. But I'm glad they got Linden Porcco to do this, because he does such a good job. If you're not going to have Warwick, I want this guy. If we get a sequel, I want him. Damn straight. One of the biggest draws for this movie is the kills. Every kill in this movie is unique. They are kills like we have never seen before, not only in this franchise, but just in horror in general. There are some great, great kills. There is some great blood and some great gore in this, and that is on point. The gore effects are great. They're mostly all practical. They look amazing. There is nothing bad I can say about them. When there is CGI used in this movie, it looks great. Like in the nod to Army of Darkness. And the director in the behind the scenes talks about how he took some nods from Army of Darkness. And that's why he liked the Leprechaun films, because like Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness, they dared to be ridiculous. They dared to go there. And that's what he wanted to do. And I agree with what he said. He's gotten tired of all these so stuffy, I'm so serious horror films. We need to have some fun in the genre. And that's what he wanted to do with this movie, and that's what he did. And I love it. The CGI looks good. There is a great nod to Army of Darkness where we get, and this is in the trailer, so I'm not really giving anything away, but we get mini leprechauns, a whole bunch of them, running around. And I love the joke, hammer time, It's just so funny. I love it. I think it's hilarious. And it looks so good, and they did such a good job in it. When the leprechaun reassembles himself, it looks really good. There is a great nod to Jaws in the movie, which I enjoy. There is just little Easter eggs everywhere throughout this film. And it's not all just fan service. It's done well. And it shows a knowledge of horror. And I like that. I love the humor and the dialogue in the film. Now, some people say, oh, the dialogue is just like any... It's fun. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. I love the Leprechaun's dialogue. I even like the dialogue written for the characters, for the other characters. There's a part where Lila's trapped in the basement, and they have like that meshing over the windows, and she picks something up and she throws it at the window and it just bounces off. And then she finds a hammer. She's like, yeah, that might have been better to use first. You know, that kind of thing. I enjoyed it. It was witty. It wasn't overly abundant in nerdism or smarts, but it still was witty. It was fun. And it did not totally go with everything had to be grotesque. There's no nudity in this film, which is a big throwback to the original. I wouldn't have minded a little nudity if you ask me, but that's just my opinion, you know. If there's a con in it, I guess it'd be that. But honestly, guys, I have no cons for this film. I loved this movie. This movie is so much fun. It is so good. I absolutely love it. And it's probably going to rank pretty high on my list when I rank these films, which will be coming up next. Maybe not directly in my next video, but, you know, within this week. I like that they held to the lore. They hold to the lore with the iron. They hold to the lore with the shoe obsession. They hold to the lore with the clovers. I like that they hold to the lore of the franchise. And they do it well. And the biggest pro for this is they completely ignore that last fucking film. Everything about this movie is fun, guys. Go out and check this movie out. This movie is $10 at Walmart for the Blu-ray with a slipcase, which is cool. Or it's $10 for the DVD. They didn't do a dual pack. I don't know why. And I don't know why the DVD costs the exact same amount as the Blu-ray. But go and pick one up. I guarantee you will not be disappointed if you are into these kind of films. If this kind of movie is not your taste, don't watch it. But I'll tell you right now, for anybody who doesn't like this franchise, you're crazy. And if anybody out there tells me that these movies suck or they're terrible, I'm sorry, but you're just a hater and you should shut up. So that's it, guys. That concludes my review for the Leprechaun franchise. I cannot wait to do the ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out my Patreon. It is freaking awesome. I plan on having a Patreon-only stream soon. And you get all kinds of really awesome benefits if you decide to join. This is BroncoJuggalo saying have a great night. May the luck of the Irish be with you, and peace.
I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm a hooligan. I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm a hooligan. I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm a hooligan. I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm still a hooligan. I'm waking up at like 11 in the morning, playing by the rules, yo, it's just so boring. I'm eating Captain Crunch for lunch, too, I got issues, yeah man, I got a bunch.